The caves were silent when the archaeologists stepped inside, the kind of silence that feels like it's waiting for something. Their flashlights sliced through centuries of dust, revealing symbols no human eyes had seen in recorded history. And then, one symbol stopped them cold. At the center of the wall, a carving showed a figure with elongated arms, holding a staff shaped like a double helix, a design thousands of years ahead of anything known. But this wasn't the strangest part. What shook them wasn't the symbol itself. It was the feeling that the carving wasn't meant to teach anything, but to warn. Beneath it, half buried in dust, something glimmered. A stone tablet, untouched by time. Whatever was written on it was never meant to disappear. A stone tablet, impossibly preserved, carried a single phrase in an extinct Armenian dialect. "We were not the first, and we will not be the last." Who wrote this? And why does it sound like a message for the future? For centuries, mountain villagers whispered about a people older than Armenia's earliest kingdoms. People with strange rituals, unusual features, and a fate erased so completely that even their name didn't survive. But every rumor begins somewhere. Until now. This discovery didn't just open a door. It ripped the past wide open. You're watching World Untold. Subscribe for more untold history. Armenia's landscape is not just land, it's a vault. Every valley, cliffside, and broken church stone hides memories older than Egypt, older than Mesopotamia. And some older than history itself. But the findings of the last decade changed everything. Our journey takes us to Sayunik, where shepherds speak of the long-blooded people. Not giants. Not spirits. A tribe with a bloodline said to hold knowledge beyond its time. A bloodline that should not have existed. When Soviet researchers heard about these legends in the 1950s, they laughed them off. But in 2014, the mountains gave up a secret they could no longer hide. A secret lodged inside a collapsed burial mound. Inside lay an ancient skull with genetic markers no one recognized. Its subtle elongation wasn't alien, it was intentional, shaped since childhood. This practice existed elsewhere. But never this early, and never in Armenia. Beside the skull was an obsidian blade, still sharp. But the technique used to carve it, centuries ahead of anything nearby cultures ever achieved. Something didn't match the timeline. At first, this seemed like a strange one-off discovery. But history rarely leaves just one clue. Soon, more evidence surfaced. Pieces from a world that shouldn't exist. Yet undeniably did. Deep in Vayat's Zor, inside forgotten caves, bodies were arranged in spirals. All pointing toward the rising sun on the winter solstice. Their jewelry held symbols unseen in any known Armenian kingdom. Someone wanted these burials to mean something. Bracelets showed infinite repeating circles, like early DNA chains. A pendant displayed a mountain split by a beam of light. These weren't primitive carvings. They were messages disguised as art. But the most puzzling clue didn't lie in bones or metal. It came from a simple clay vessel. A vessel that carried a secret written in the sky. Marked on its surface was a star map. Not of the present sky. Not of the future. But of the night sky as it looked thousands of years earlier, when Earth tilted differently. Why preserve such a sky, unless they had lived under it? Then came the realization. These people weren't recording their story. They were leaving behind a warning. But warning about what? Mountain villagers added more clues. They spoke of a clan that stayed separate. Guardians of knowledge about stars, medicine, and disasters. Some said they protected an ancient artifact hidden deep in the mountains. Something important enough to die for. One legend tells of a ritual. Newborns were tested under moonlight. Those who carried the remembering spark were taught secrets unknown even to kings. A bloodline chosen, not born. High above Lake Sevan, a forgotten fortress held a final fragment. carved into stone. They came from the high mountains before fire was known. They guarded the pathways. They knew the cycles. And when the darkness came, they vanished. But what was the darkness? And what cycle did they guard? Across Armenia, disappearance patterns matched other ancient cultures. Göbekli Tepe. Indus Valley. Kokytini, Tripilia. Civilizations that rose with impossible speed, then vanished without reason. Armenia's bloodline wasn't alone. It was part of something bigger. The leading theory now. These people weren't a tribe. They were survivors. Remnants of an earlier human civilization erased by a global catastrophe. DNA from isolated Armenian villages carries rare markers. The same markers found in the mysterious skulls. Meaning descendants of this ancient bloodline may still be alive today, without knowing who they really are. And that leaves one question. If they lived through one extinction, what did they fear enough to warn us about? The symbols. The star maps. The carvings. Maybe they weren't trying to be remembered. Maybe they were preparing us. Because their final message still echoes today. We were not the first. And we will not be the last.